everybody, and welcome to Exposed Dragged Out. I'm Joseph Shepard, and each week we dive into the lives of individuals who, may or may not have been on a Rupaul's Drag Race franchise. This one was pointing her way into my heart. I'm absolutely excited and ecstatic to welcome from UK Season 3, we have River Medway. How are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm really sorry. I just realised I've got loads of lipstick on my teeth. Hello, sweetie. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to be talking to you. How are you doing?
I am great. I only wake up at 6 a.m. for you, only for River Medway.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be partnering with Area for this video. I'm the biggest smell connoisseur, scent connoisseur, however you want to say that. I literally can smell any and every smell, no matter how small or how big. And that is why I'm so excited to be partnering with Area, because I don't know if you know this, I record all my videos in this little corner of the room. And over there in this little corner of the room is where I work out. And working out in the same place that you actually have to do your daily job is not the greatest thing when it comes to scents, because I can be a little scenty sometimes after a workout, a little sweaty and everything, and that smell can just permeate throughout the air. But that's where Area comes into play. So excited to show you this. So basically, Area is a consistent fragrance experience that you can have. They have different types of scents. I chose lavender essential oil, and I just popped this cartridge in there. Each cartridge lasts about 3 months. And you can set the intensity and how you want the smell to come out of your area, from a 1 to a 10. They also have this amazing Smart Jet technology, which pushes all of the little micro droplets and everything throughout the air, so it can fill your place up to 1,500 square feet. It's also great they have an app so you can set things to schedule. So like if you are working or you're out and you have a friend coming over later in the evening and you want your place to smell good, just set it in your app. So then when they come through, they get a little lavender delight. Anyway, please check them out, because literally it's changing so much of how I view scents. Link is down below. Thank you guys so much at Area for sponsoring this video. Click the link and let your nose do the work.
Where are you right now? Where are you?
I am currently in Newcastle.
Okay.
Tonight is the first date of our Pick a Mix BDE tour. We're rehearsing. It's very, very exciting.
Wait, so all of you guys are back together to do a tour, BDE. We are getting Pick and Mix. We're getting that. That's so exciting. Like, to be on Drag Race and have the girl group that was the best be able to progress you and do things like, what's that experience been like working with the girls again?
Do you know what? It's been so nice, because all four of us haven't done the number together since literally we filmed the show.
Wow.
And it's like some people do it like at a gig or something, but like we're never all together. Like it never happens. So it's been so nice. So I had to sit there and watch the video on YouTube to remind myself of the dance and stuff, because there's more than just chest pumps. Just in case anyone thought that it was just chest pumps for 3.5 minutes. But it's been really, really fab to be with, Ella, Teresa, and Vanity.
I can only imagine what's going to ensue on this tour. I feel like you guys are all such different personalities. What is it like when you guys are in a room? Like, who is always the loudest?
I mean, we're all drag queens, Joseph. So I think everybody's can be loud. It depends what we're doing. It depends if we're in work mode or we're in social mode or party mode or whatever. I don't think anybody's necessarily the loudest. I don't think anyone's the quietest either, but we all know each other so well, which I think everybody sort of forgets, because of people sort of think, we filmed the show and then that's it. And then we're not really good friends, so we don't text every day and all stuff like that, which we do. So I guess everyone, I don't know if that answers the question.
Well, I want to get into the start of your career doing drag. So let me get this straight. You were born and raised in Kent, is that correct?
Yeah.
And what were you like when you were growing up as a child? Did the creative energy come through you then?
Yeah, exactly the same. I was born exactly like this. Honestly, that's actually not an exaggeration. I just got better at makeup. Like I've been like this since the day I was born. I also had an older sister. Her name's Jasmine. She's 4 years older than me, and she taught me everything I need to know about, Destiny's Child, Spice Girls, ABBA, like everything. Like it was that we used to put shows on for our parents every single weekend, like basically without a doubt, like all the time we'd be putting shows on. So it's been in there the whole time.
Walk me through a little show of yours at like the age of 7. Like what did I expect?
Okay, well, I mean, I've got videos from when I was like 3. So
Okay.
really young. One of my favourite ones. This is such a vivid memory in my head. I don't know if you remember this. In the film Shrek, the first one, right at the end, they do like I can't remember what it's called. It's like a swamp karaoke party or something.
Yes.
All the characters sing like Madonna and like just all different songs. And I knew that off by heart by the age up by like 3 years old. 3 or 4 must have been. And there's a clip of my sister and we go through the entire thing word for word all the way through. So that was one of our favourite ones to put on is the Shrek Mega Mix Swamp Karaoke Party.
So I do have to ask you then, which Shrek is the best Shrek? 1, 2, 2. There we go.
I don't think there's really a question which one is the best. It is 2. And we could sit here and talk about this all day long. People think it's such a meme thing and it's like a funny thing and it's a joke. It is genuinely a fantastic piece of cinematic artistry. It is just absolutely fantastic, from the characters and the music and the visuals, everything. Double chef's kiss. Mwah. Amazing.
Is this why you are wearing your little red right now? It's all because of Shrek?
Yes, it is. I definitely planned that, Joseph. That was not a coincidence at all.
So, when did you, as an individual, start to come to terms with your identity as a person and as a human being? And was that before or after you started to fall into the love of drag?
Well, let me try and think about the timeline, because everything always blurs together now. I mean, hang on, sorry. So I'm not crying, I've just got gas. It's getting so emotional. All my trauma's coming up. No, no. So I always had a really, really supportive family who just let me do whatever I wanted to do. And when I was younger, as I said, used to love dancing around, singing. My parents put me into like a youth theatre, like on the weekends. And I was always very flamboyant and camp, which back when I was younger, saying somebody was camp was very derogatory. It wasn't what it is now. Everything is camp these days, which is amazing because I think everything is camp and I love camp. But when I was younger, I was always the camp boy at school. And if I'm honest, I always knew that I wasn't like 100% straight or anything. It was never like one thing or another for me. But I felt this pressure to come out. And I probably realized like, oh yeah, I'm definitely, I guess bisexual, if you want to put a label on it, which has always been in my head since I was like a kid. I use gay more as an umbrella term now. I'll say I am a gay man, but I don't think it would be correct for me ever to say I'm 100% homosexual, which is interesting, I guess. But yeah, so I always knew that I liked boys when I was younger, and probably when I started like secondary school, which I guess you're like 11. I was like, yeah, I definitely like boys. So So I knew that, like, I probably fully came to terms with that then. And then I think when I was about 15 was the first time I came out to somebody. And this is some juicy love story Netflix shit here. I won't go into. Oh, he's never going to see this, so it's fine. He's straight now. There was a boy I fancied at my school, and I just assumed he was straight. And then I got over this crush. I was like, it's never going to happen. And then one day I got a message from him on Facebook, and it was this huge paragraph. It was like, Dexter, that's my real name. Dexter, like, I've got feelings for you. He was like, I know boys don't usually feel this way about other boys, but I couldn't keep it in, blah, blah, blah. And I was there, my heart drops. I was like, oh, this boy's just come out to me. And I was like, I'm going to have to come out to him. Like, there's no way I can lie about this anymore. So then I came out to him as well. And then me and him would secretly, it wasn't even romantic really at first, but we would like, it was the first person I ever came out to, and it was secret for like a good few months, just because it was like nice to finally talk to somebody about it. And then we dated for a bit, and then I was like, I don't want to be tied up. I'm 15 years old, and I've just come out. And then I started telling my friends, I started telling everyone, and I went to an all-boys grammar school, which is quite like, you know, there's not a lot of fruitiness, or at least not open. Do you know what I mean? And I always thought it was going to be really, really tough. But I think the thing with me was I didn't have a really hard time growing up, because people always liked me, and I always could make people laugh and stuff. So it was sort of like, oh yeah, like Dexter's like, he's a bit camp, but he's funny and he gets it and whatever. So I never had a really hard time, but it took me a while to really be comfortable letting everybody know. And then I think I got to a point one day and I thought, oh, do you know what? Nothing actually matters at all. And somebody asked me sorry, this is such a long story.
Oh, you're all good.
Somebody, did you ever have Ask FM? Do you know what that is?
Yeah. Like the question thing, right?
Anonymous
yes.
questions. Answer it. Somebody one day, I'd come out to a few of my friends. Most of my friends outside of school were girls, because I knew them from like the theatre club I used to go to and stuff like that. So they're who I mostly came out to. And then I was like, do you know what? I don't care now. Who knows? But like, I'm not gonna announce it, because it's not a big deal and it shouldn't be a big deal. So I was like, if anybody asks me now, I will let them know. And I got a message one day and it said, do you like boys? And I put yes, share to Facebook. And I was like, I know, as soon as I do this, like, fill everyone know. Came in the next day, nobody said anything. And one of the boys that were quite like, he was like, oh, do you like boys then? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, right. And that was it really. Like, it was fully like, there were people that didn't know me, maybe in like other classes or different years, that would like give me a little bit of shit, but for the most of it, it was fine, really. So that's sexuality side of it. If you want to go into drag, that's another long story as well. So
I love that you ended up saying that it should be made into like a Netflix movie. I could totally see that happening. That's like, you basically were like Love Simon before Love Simon. It was like you were crafting behind those internet anonymous people wanting to know.
Yeah, it was, when I think about it, do you know, I actually even wrote what was that website people would write like fan fictions? Wattpad. I wrote a Wattpad about like me coming out and stuff, and all of my feelings and me as a person and my identity. This is when I was about 15, and I think it's still online somewhere. And that's actually how my parents found out, because they found it. They've always been really supportive as well. They were always amazing. And my parents just sat me down one day. They're like, "Oh, Dexter, can I come talk to you, please?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they're like, "Right, we're not angry. We're not upset or anything. We're just saying we've seen this online. We just want to check like this is all you and you're okay and you're everything." And I was like, yeah. And they were like, all right. They were like, we just want to make sure that you're okay, because they were never worried about me. They were just worried about other people's reactions. Mm-hmm. So I'm very, very grateful for my life and everything, and especially my family that gave me the space to be whoever I wanted to be. And yeah, that was basically it. The rest is history, I guess.
That's really, really good and exciting that your parents took it that way. Like, that would have been the coolest thing, just to be able to like they're looking out for, you know, making sure other people aren't treating you wrong. That's exactly how it should be all over, everywhere. So I'm very glad that, you know, you had that supportive force, because that has, you know, pushed you to be who you are today, which is the drag side, which now you can tell that story.
We need to go back to, I think I was probably about 7. And actually a bit younger than that. So I always used to see my sister's dresses and what she used to dress up in, and just really, really want that. Which I think a lot of little queer people always like strive for as well. And I remember this so clearly. My sister had a blue sequin dress, and one day I saw it and I was like, I need to get this on. Grabbed it, ran down to the bathroom, locked the door, and tried it on. And I remember just fully feeling myself and being like, and it was really sad, because I just believed that I would never be allowed to do that. And it was nothing to do with my parents or anything really. It's just how it was worse in here than it actually was in my life. Like, I made it such a big deal, and I was like, well, this isn't going to happen. And then I put it away, and then I didn't put a dress on again for years. And then when I was about 7, I remember being in Poundland, which is like the dollar store, and it was around Halloween time, and there was a red wig with 2 red devil horns sewn into it. And I was like, I really want to buy this for Halloween, because you can get away with anything on Halloween. I remember getting my dad to buy it for me, but it was like a costume. And I used to wear that wig all the time, and I was just obsessed. I was absolutely obsessed, and I'm absolutely obsessed with hair. And this is when it started. And I remember I used to try and like brush it and like cut it, and it was horrific. It was like the most cheap, gross, horrible wig, and I'd have it for so long and just wear it, and then it was like there was barely any hair in it by the time I got a bit older. So that was my first ever wig, and I was just obsessed from that. And then when I started going to youth theatre and stuff, I'd always be like, right, I think she needs to wear a wig for this. I think we're going to have to get a wig, and I'll style it just because I think she needs one. So then I used to style wigs on other people. And then I keep remembering so many things.
See, this is your therapy session. You're getting it all out. You're remembering it.
Honestly, so many things. What I was gonna, it's because I'll tell one story and it goes through my whole life, and then I remember something else, but it happened when I was younger, and I have to go through it again. Well, let me tell you actually when River was born. But like before drag was a thing and before River was a thing. Okay, this is what I've realised very recently. I used to go on stardoll.com all the time. Did you ever go on Stardoll?
No, what is that?
It's a website where it was like dress up games, right? And there would be like a celebrity, and it'd be Lady Gaga, and it'd have all of her outfits, and you'd like drag the outfit over.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So we used to play it at school if we had like one computer day or something, and the girls would show me, and I'd love it. And then I realised that you could sign up for this website. This was probably when I was like 9. You can sign up for this website and create your own like avatar and like buy the clothes for it and style the hair and do all of this. And I was absolutely obsessed, and I would do it like in secret in my house every single day. I'd be absolutely glued to this thing, you know, like everyone else was playing all these other things, and I was just on this. And I had this person who actually named after my mum. That was my username, because I was like, well, I can't use my boy name, so I used my mum's name. And I spent years like collecting outfits and like you build your house and just all of these things, and I realize now like that literally was my drag when I was younger. It was like I couldn't do it on myself, so I was doing it on this gorgeous woman that I'd created for years and years and years, and I used to hide it and not let anybody know about it because I thought it was just so wrong. So yeah, that's that story. That's what I think about recently, and I'm like, that was like drag before that. And I remember how like I think I I was watching something with Pearl in before, and she was saying how she used to draw like these characters when she was younger, and then like that like was Pearl, and now like she creates that with herself, and I was like, that's me, but I just did it like digitally, which is so cool, isn't it?
That, like, thinking about that, like, that is actually really cool. Like, I'm like, at that age, I was playing Neopets online, and you're over there crafting who River is under your mom's name.
Yeah. It's just so funny, like, yeah. Crazy. I could probably still log into the account. I know the password. Maybe I'm gonna have to do it. Or maybe I'll do like a YouTube video of me. Like,
I think you should.
Yeah, and see what. And do you know what? Actually, sorry. This is the, I'll go into so many tangents. If you want to move on, just tell me to shut up. There used to be a lot of Lady Gaga outfits you could buy on it. They would have like things so you could dress up, and I've always been obsessed with Lady Gaga, and I used to like dress her up like Lady Gaga, and now like I do Gaga all the time. Which is just like my favorite. Like I've just got a yellow, like that urine yellow wig with a dark root that she used to wear on like, the monster, and it's like I've only just got one, and it's like I've wanted that since I was a child, and now I literally can do whatever I want and do all those things that I always wanted to do. Amazing, right?
Seriously. And then like looking at it too, this is what I want you to do. If you do log back into that account, I want you to screenshot whatever your outfit was that was stuck there, and I need you to recreate that in real life.
Yes, right. We're doing it. I'll do it. We're doing
because
it. Yes.
that will be a full circle moment.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? Yes, we'll do that. Right. Let me get onto the drag now, and I'll be quick about this because this bit's actually the least. This is the thing. It's actually like it's all these things that happen when you're younger. And then when you get older, everything sort of just falls into place. Mm-hmm. For me, anyway, like it was stuff happening since I was literally a kid, has led up until now. But yeah, used to go to youth theatre a lot, and I wanted to play the female roles, and everybody loved it. So I'd start playing the female characters, and I think the first time I did it was like in a pantomime, which is when we have like a dame, which is like kind of drag. I always say it's under the drag umbrella, but it's not. It's like a dame. It's usually like the joke is that it's a man. But that was sort of maybe the first time I did it on stage. And then we used to like do plays, and the director would be like, "Dexter, do you want to do this one?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I do." And then that was probably around the same time that I started watching Drag Race. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I really could look nice if I practiced this. And I remember getting my first lace front when I was like probably 15 or no, maybe 16. And it was around the time like season 6 of US was on. And then I just started doing it more and more. And then I moved to London when I was 18 to go to like musical theatre, like performing arts college. And I used to like go out in drag. So we would like go down to the bar and I'd like get into drag or something. Then I started working at GAY, and I used to hand out wristbands on the front door, just like as a boy. And then one day I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go in drag one day. And it's like they're not even paying me to be in drag, but I was like, I want to be outside this gay bar, like handing out wristbands in like full drag, like in the cold. Like I would wear a dress with my tracksuit and trainers underneath because it was so cold outside all night long, like wristbands for GAY. So yeah, was doing that. And then when I was in my third year, like my graduating year, was the first time I got, so I would have been 21, I got my first drag gig, like paid for drag, which was at a place in Medway actually, which is really nice. And obviously I'd been on stage loads before, but never properly in drag like that. And because I wanted to do drag by that point, but I was like, why is nobody booking me? Which I realise now that like people have to like you and have to get to know you before they book you. Like it's a whole thing, and I realise that now, obviously. Anyway, they booked me because it was this place in Medway, and I did my first gig. And by that point, I'd been like doing makeup and doing hair for so long that like I didn't look really bad, which is really nice because some people are like, this is me on my first gig, and they look
They look
bastard.
bad.
Yeah, but then I guess if I find a picture of me when I was like 15 doing drag, like it's a mess as well. So yeah, that was the first time I did a gig, and then what happened? Then I graduated from Performing Arts College, and didn't really do much drag because to me I wanted to like do musical theatre or be a dancer. Like drag was sort of an extra thing that I enjoyed doing. And then as soon as I graduated, I moved to France for a couple of months because I worked at Disneyland for a bit. And then I came back and I was like, oh, well, I'm unemployed again. Did like a few little jobs, but I was like, I've got a bit more free time. Like I'm going to start doing drag a bit more, or I'm going to try to do drag a bit more. Got booked a couple more times in Kent, maybe like 3 more times. And then it was the pandemic. So then I was like, well, I'm at home every single day. I'm going to do drag like all the time at home, which I did. And I guess I got like pretty decent. And then like at the end of, probably like the summer of 2020, I think everything opened back up for a bit. And then I started working like every single week at a bar in Kent, which was so nice. So I was doing drag a lot, like meeting everyone, working with everyone, and it was great. And then by the end of 2020, we were in lockdown again, and then I applied for Drag Race. And now here we are.
That was the first time you had applied for Drag Race? Literally fresh out the box, you have 1 gig under your belt, you've done 1 makeup tutorial on YouTube, and bam, you are on the biggest stage. That is pretty crazy. River, your life like went from one thing to a complete other, all because of this game you used to play on the computer.
It fully is. It's crazy, isn't it? When you think of it like that. Like, my brain, if I'm honest, still doesn't. I don't think my brain can really understand that extremity of everything that's happened in my life in the last like 6 months. Like, which is really strange because when I was preparing for Drag Race, it didn't seem like the biggest thing of my entire life because I couldn't quite believe that I was there. I felt like I shouldn't have got cast. So like, I don't think my brain realised, oh my God, this is actually Drag Race. Like, this isn't some little thing, this is actually Drag Race. Which is just crazy, yeah.
So I know that you had mentioned on the show that the timing of everything kind of came down to some very pivotal moments in your life. You have something that is really, really exciting on one hand, and then you have something that is the most awful time in anybody's life, which is losing a parent. And I can only imagine the roller coaster of what you were feeling on the inside. And I love that you still did the show because I know that your mom would have loved that. I guess my question is, how did you, as an individual, get yourself to the point of being like, you know what, I am going to go on Drag Race?
I don't think it was ever really a question. Really, I don't think I ever really considered not doing it. I mean, I had applied for the show, and then like a month later, I got a phone call to say that my mum wasn't going to make it, and then about 2 weeks after that, I got another phone call, and I was sat in the exact same place on my sofa, saying like, "Hello, is that River Medway? You're going to be on Drag Race." So it was the craziest thing, the fact that I was sat in the same seat like a few weeks apart, and I had 2 phone calls and they both changed my life, but in completely different ways. And it's so interesting to me to think I felt the exact same thing both times. Like it was the same physical feeling. It's just so bizarre because you can't really compare the two. But you know when you just that everything just sinks all of a sudden and it's like, what? And that's what it was. And I felt that both times. And I thought, like, it's something that, yeah, it just wasn't a question. It was like, oh, of course I have to do this. Like, for one, my mum would be furious if she found out I said no. Like, she would be so mad. And two, it's like, I'm sorry, but like, the world cannot stop. And the world will never stop. But one day, like, your life will. So there's no point sitting around. And I think if I have learned anything from my mum passing away, it is that, like, exactly that. Like, your life is actually going to end. Like, it's so dark, but like every single person's life will actually end, and you will die, and you don't actually know when that's going to be. And I have this mentality now for every single thing I do in my whole entire life. And I wish that I remembered that when I was on the show, because I didn't always think like that on the show, unfortunately. I got in my head quite a lot on the show, because I just think, do you know what, like, do whatever you want, because when people say life's too short, I think people hear that so much that they don't really think about it anymore. People go, life's too short. Everybody goes, life's too short. Yeah, it is. Like, it should be, you're going to die one day. That's what the saying should be, because you are. And I think the way I think about death now is so different. I've never had somebody close to me pass away in my life, really, before that. But then actually, after I got the call for Drag Race, a couple of weeks later, my dad's mum actually passed away. So it was like my dad's going through the exact same thing that I've just gone through. And I also have to create all of these looks for Drag Race. And it was just like so many things. I think this is why my brain never really processed it. Maybe because we're at such a big thing in my life. It was like, oh, I'm going on Drag Race now. Like, something to keep me busy. And I'm glad I had it to keep me busy, because I don't know what I would be doing right now because I'd probably have just sat in bed every single day until now. I remember, this is actually, like, when I think about this, it makes me really sad, but for a different reason. Like, we had to plan my mum's funeral while I was preparing for Drag Race, and we had my mum's funeral about a few weeks before I left for Drag Race. And everybody looks at you so different when something like that happens. And it was like, my family were there. Luckily, it was at a time where we were still in lockdown, but we could still have people at a funeral and stuff. And I know it was much worse for a lot of people, like a few months before and stuff. And in my head, all I could think about was Drag Race before the ceremony had started, when we were saying hello to, like, my mum's sister and her best friend and stuff like that. In my head, I was just thinking about a runway that I was getting made or something, and it's so many different emotions that I've never had anything like that in my life. And I think because of that, I don't think I ever was really fully, like, stable that whole time. Now that I think about it, at the time I thought I was fine, and I mean, you have to talk to a psychiatrist before and everything, and I thought I was fine. And now that I think about it, and I'm like, that's not great. But yeah, it's an absolute whirlwind, and it has been. But I truly believe that everything in the world has already been written. And I'm not a religious person, so to speak, but I believe in, everything that is going to happen is going to happen. And even if you change it, then you were always going to change it. And that was already written as well, like everything. And I remember right after my mum passed away, I kept thinking, like, maybe I should have done this. Maybe if we did this, maybe if this didn't happen. And I was like, there's nothing I can do. Like, there's honestly nothing I can do. For like 100%. There's always things you think about, like, if I did this different, maybe I could change this. And then I came to the realization there's absolutely nothing I can do apart from carry on with my life. And I don't think pain and loss ever gets smaller, but I just think you can get bigger and grow as a person around it. And I think I do that every day. And I hope that everyone else in the world can maybe think a little bit more like that, and which is why I was so happy to talk about it on the show, because I just want people to see that, and I know that would have been helpful for me as well.
Yeah, and I think I love that you said that you kind of like
displaced yourself from the situation and you kind of like looked at it as a whole, and like, you know, I can't be worrying about the things that I didn't do, because at the end of the day I can't change it. And I think that that has been the most integral part of the past few years of my life, is just taking that step back no matter what. If it comes down to, if you're angry at somebody, you're mad at somebody, it is something that you don't want to do, whatever it is, just displacing yourself from that and looking at the full picture, because that will give you a clearer mind. So I'm glad that you did that, because, you know, that literally starts to heal you.
Yeah, 100%.
So you walk through this workroom door. You see the lights, you see the cameras, you see the action, you see these other girls. What was the first thing that went through your head?
Well, I actually lost a nail just before I went into the workroom, and that was all I was thinking about, if I'm honest. We were in a everyone was in a holding room that morning, and we were sitting in there for ages, like, oh. And then I remember we weren't allowed to leave the room, and I really needed to go to the toilet, but we literally could not leave the room, because if I'd left the room at the same time another queen was like getting taken out of her room or something. And then I was in there for, it felt like 10 hours. It was probably like an hour and a half or something, I don't know. But in fact, there was no clock, no phone, anything, in full drag. And they really needed to go to the toilet. And then they were like, right, River, you're going up to the workroom now. And I was like, okay. I was like, I need to go to the toilet. Sorry, I have to go now. Went to the toilet. I already had all my nails on. Obviously, it takes a while to get everything off. I was like, I have to. Got everything back on, walking up to the workroom. And then I was like, I've lost a nail. I was like, somebody has to go back and get it now. And they sent a runner going around the studio trying to find my nail. I was like, no, I cannot go. I was like, sorry. I was like, I don't want to be stressed out about a nail. Anyway, they didn't find it. And so the whole time I'm in the workroom, I walk in and you can hear them talking. It was Kitty and Veronica, and I could hear them straight away. And it was so weird. It just sounded so like empty. Because obviously, like when you watch the show, it's like music, sound effects, and it was just silence. And in my head, I was like, maybe there's like one camera person in there, because that's what I didn't hear anything. And I remember just standing there, and then there's a mirror just before you walk in, and I was looking at myself like, what the hell? And I was like, oh, I've lost a nail. And I had to walk around. I walked in, and you can't really tell on the phone, and I'm like this. Literally the whole time just standing there like this, and like, the river is here. I think I had to do it twice as well, and it's just so awkward. And they go, don't look at the girls on the table until we give you a signal to go over. And I was like, okay. And I'm there like, and Kitty and Veronica are like, ooh, is that River Medway? Oh, and I'm there like trying not to look. It's everyone says the same thing. It seems like you're there for 10 hours. So what was the question? What were you thinking? That was the question.
Yes. What were you thinking?
I was thinking I need to make sure I hide this nail, and I need to make sure that that I'm just really nice to everyone, which I think I am anyway. I hope so.
Wait, what show did you watch? You were the villain of the season.
I could have been. I'll tell you right now, Joseph, I could have been, and I was not. But yeah, it felt like I was literally in my TV screen. Like it was so bizarre. And there was 100 people there, as in like camera crew, like 50 cameras, all the producers, like all of these people just standing there like. And then you walk in like yeah, very, very strange. And also, for some reason, I don't know why, because I've seen the show so many times, I thought it was only going to be half a workroom, which doesn't make sense, because you can literally see all four walls of the workroom when you watch the show.
Stop! I always thought that is not.
What, half a workroom?
Yeah.
No, it's four walls. Did you think it was half?
I thought it was the same thing. I thought it was the 3 walls.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought it was literally going to be that, and then it was going to be all the camera crew and all that stuff. It's not. It's literally. It is actually a workroom, which I just was. It's weird because I thought it was going to be like a TV set, and then you walk in and it's not. But then also you realise how much of it is like a TV set because there's all these people walking around in like beanies and sweatpants, like doing cameras and lights. It's so strange, so strange. But yeah, that's what I thought. I thought, oh, there's a wall there, and also I need to hide my nail.
So I can't. Did you know any of these girls before you got on to the show? Did you know anybody in the cast?
Personally, or like just know who was going to be there?
Both. Let's go with both. Yeah.
So I would say the person that I knew was Crystal, because me and Crystal used to work at the same bar in Kent together. So we like proper know each other, but we were never really friends before. But also she was literally like 18 when we used to work there. So she was this like 18-year-old there, like, oh, my name's Crystal Versace at the time. Obviously, like, we're really good friends now. But I was a bit more like, oh, okay. Like when we were working at the same place, like we were friends, we were mates. That's what we used to be mates. Now we're friends. So I knew her. I styled a wig for Kitty about 5 years ago. And that was our only interaction. And I charged her like £40 or £50 or something ridiculous, like so cheap. Oh, I used to style wigs for a lot of drag queens all the time. Like, I had a full business of styling wigs for people. So I've got so many things. I forget everything. From like 16 to like until I went on the show. I was
16? 16 you were styling wigs?
Pretty much, yeah. That's when I started. So that's how me and Kitty had spoken before, and like when I styled a wig for her. And I remember I styled a wig for Cheryl Hole, like probably around that time as well. And it's just so funny because we're all friends now. So yeah, we knew each other, but not properly. The only person I was properly friends with was Crystal. But also I was so intrigued to know who else was going to be there. I basically had like gossiped my way around to find out who else was going to be there for the show, because I just really wanted to know. And I knew, and me and Ella had worked together before as well, so we'd like kind of known each other. And then me and Vanity had like followed each other for ages, so it was all like everybody kind of knew each other but not properly. So the only person I would say I knew was Crystal. Yeah.
Did you guys talk about that before? Did you know, like, did she know that you were going to be on, and you knew that she was going to be on?
I knew she knew, but she didn't tell me, and she knew I knew, but we didn't directly speak about it. We had actually like not seen eye to eye a couple of times about whatever drag queens are like before. And then a couple weeks before we went into Drag Race, like, she sent me this message, like, it was like really cryptic. It was like, hey babes, I hope you're right, like, hope you're doing well, like, hope yeah, it's clear between us, like, hope we're all good, blah blah blah. Like, and I was like, yeah babe, I was like, we're all good babes, don't worry. Like, I know what she was getting at. She knew what I was getting at. So I was like, I don't want any of this, you know, these two queens are from the same town and they hate each other. And I was like, no, I'm not bringing that in. I was like, if there's going to be drama on the show, that's fine. I was like, I don't want things from before affecting it. So we're all fine, and we've spoken about it, and we're really good friends, and she's so lovely. So, yeah.
You want to know what else was lovely? Your point. Now you have is that the first runway that you walked down in?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you think that you were going to do that? Like, did you think, okay, this is going to be a one and done on the runway, I'm going to got point and then be done? Or did you go out there with the anticipation of continually pointing?
Right, okay. So, in my head, well, basically, once everybody had unpacked all of their stuff in the workroom, I looked around and I thought, wow, I have the cheapest looking costumes here out of everyone. That wasn't even me trying to be negative or anything. I genuinely probably had like I'm not gonna say that I had the worst wardrobe, but like I didn't have a very good wardrobe for most of it. Some of it I know was great, but a lot of it was like stuff me and my friend had made, or my friend had made for me, or stuff like that. A lot of it was, and in my head I was like, well, I'm gonna have to be a bit. I was like, I need to make sure my personality comes through on the runway, because there's no way I can walk down it like a model, because it will not happen for me. And I was like, and also Crystal's here, so like nobody's ever going to look as gorgeous as Crystal on this runway. So then I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh, this statue is that's what. Oh, people thought I was like pointing on the runway. I don't know. This is what the statue looks like. It's literally just like this. And I was like, oh well, obviously I'm being a statue, so it makes sense for me to stand there like him. And it wasn't me like, oh, this is going to be so funny. It's going to be it was just like logic. I was like, obviously I'm going to stand like the statue, because that's who I'm doing an impression of. Doing an impression of a statue. Oh my god, I should have done Thomas Waghorn for Snatch Game. I would have won. I've just thought that. Sorry, I've just gone on another tangent. If I'd gone onto Snatch Game as that statue and just pointed for every answer, I probably would have won the whole season.
I think you would have.
Right, I'm fuming. I've just realised that. Great. Anyway, my intention was always going to be, I was like, I'm going to stand there and sort of like walk like a statue. And in my head, it just made sense, like, for me to do that. And I did it. And then I was like, oh, I guess it's a bit funny. And I don't think I even clocked how funny they thought it was. Like, in my head, Rue was like giggling. But I wasn't looking at them, and there's the music playing and everything, so I can't properly gauge it. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh yeah, they're giggling a bit because I've got a cone on my head, I look a bit silly, so I just kept doing it. And then I was like, oh no, they're actually really enjoying this, and I was like, okay, let me just do it a few more times. And then I came off stage, and everyone was just staring, and they were like, what were you doing out there? And I was like, oh, I'm just like standing like a statue. And they were like, Rue is screaming, and I was like, laugh, and I was like, I wasn't even really looking, and they were like, you've made Rue laugh. That's so good, and I was like, okay. And then secret, everybody knows you do the runway twice, so they can do the comments, and there's no music at that point. So imagine silence, and all you hear is this. When I tell you that, like, everybody was actually screaming, and I was like, okay, I'll do a few, like, I was like, I know I'm not a complete idiot, like, I know how to, rally them up a bit. So yeah, but it was never planned to be that, which is my best advice to everyone. Don't plan things, just do whatever your heart tells you, because that was like a no thoughts thing. It was just, that just happened.
Yeah, and making Rue laugh is literally the pivotal. If you make Rue laugh, then you are always on the good list. Like, you're not on the shit list. No matter what time you leave on the show, Rue's going to remember that one thing every time he sees you. So did you realize, I guess, after all that had happened, did you realize how big it was then, after, or was it when it came on the TV and you were like, oh my gosh, this is bigger than what I thought?
Yeah, it was more that when I watched it, it wasn't at the time at all. I didn't think anything of it at the time. And I remember like people being like, "Oh, maybe you should." They weren't telling me what to do. They were like, oh, like, they love it. They were like, if like do more of that. And I was really worried about milking it, and I didn't want to do it because in my head it only makes sense for me to do that dressed as a statue at the time. Anyway, I was like, I'm not going to do all my runways like that because I'm not dressed as a statue. But obviously, that's not how Rue sees it. Rue just sees it as me being funny. So I could have. So and then I remember like producers and stuff being like, oh, it's so funny, like everybody's gonna love it, and I just wasn't buying it at all. I was like, I'm sure like it'll be a bit funny, and this isn't even me trying to be modest or anything like that. I genuinely was like, yeah, like it's going to be a bit funny, but I doubt. I didn't think it was going to, be crazy. And then I remember watching the first episode at a viewing party, and everybody was just like howling the whole time. Like everyone found it so funny, and I was like, oh, I was sitting there like at the back behind everyone, and then the audience were in front of them, the screen was there, and I was sitting there like, oh, oh my god, people find me funny. That's great. And then I remember looking on my phone, and it was like I couldn't go on a story without seeing myself with a traffic cone on my head. And then like it just was going crazier and crazier and crazier. And then like people would tag me every single day of them with a traffic cone on their heads, like all the time. People do it now. People still do it now. And I remember when I brought out like the merch. I brought out like t-shirts and mugs and cushions with like the illustration of me doing it. I remember the night I put that out, it like was crazy, the amount of people that got them. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm onto something here. It's like, and I'm always scared about milking things. I'm actually really insecure and worried about everything all the time.
Really?
And I never want somebody to go, oh, she's so annoying. Oh, she's milking that. And this is about anything. Like I get so worried all the time that I've upset somebody or I've annoyed somebody or anything, which is why I keep apologizing for going on tangents and speaking for ages. But that's what I was always worried of. And now I'm embracing the cone. I haven't actually worn it since the show.
But you have a plushie too, right?
I have a plushie of it as well. Yes, I also have a plushie of it.
That to me is like the craziest thing. If there's anything in my life that I want to happen, I just want to be made into a plushie. Like like that's like as a child that would be the coolest thing. Knowing that that's what you have. I also will give you props because your cone, wig, hair, all of the whole thing. I think that is the first time. I mean, I may be totally incorrect, where a wig was something different than a wig. Like a lot of times, like either it's like the Marge Simpson that's like a straight up, or it's your down, your updos, but there's nothing that's ever been, I guess triangular.
I guess no. Like, well, I'm sure there has been maybe, but yeah. But then in my head, like, I didn't have to think hard about that look at all. Like,
what made you? I guess what made you go for using the cone as a wig as opposed to wearing a cone or a cone hat on your head?
I didn't think about it. Like, there were no thoughts behind this at all, which I think is the way to be in life. Like,
yeah,
I literally. As soon as I got on the show, and I'd always said, if I'm ever on the show and have to do hometown, it's going to be that. Like, that's always been, and it was the first thing I ever drew for the show, like a sketch. And it's basically exactly what I wore on the show. And I drew it, and I drew this, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I'm going to make the cone out of hair. Like, that was on the first draft. It was never like, oh, I was like, well, I'm not going to wear a traffic cone, have a fake one. And also, like, hair is also one of my favorite things to do, but I did all of my hair on the show, so I was like, I'm just gonna make it out of hair. Like, it just wasn't even a thought, really. It
was the smartest decision. I'm so glad that you did that, because making Rue laugh, making a name for yourself is the biggest thing you can do. If you don't win, you want to do something else, and that's exactly what you did. And I read, I don't know if this is correct, that your runway that was the red carpet, you felt scared because you saw everybody else's outfits, so you used your finale look for that. Is that true?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, because actually, not to give too much away, but like, they really didn't like, apart from the fact that I made them laugh in episode 1, they didn't actually like that outfit, really. I think I had a bit of hair sticking out of the back of that cone wig that they like read me for. They hated my music look. Like, they really, really read me for it. And you don't really see that in the show, because obviously it's like they focused on like the funny stuff for me. And the other two that were in the bottom. But I really thought I was going home episode 1, like, convinced. Because I thought maybe they just saw me as like a bit of a novelty, like, oh yeah, she's funny, but like she looks like shit, so she's going home. That's fully, nobody said that, like that hadn't come from anywhere. That was fully all up here. because the only praise I'd got was, "Oh, you're funny," which in my head was like, "Oh yeah, but yeah, obviously." Like, but what about my outfits? Like, it wasn't. It was very strange. So I was petrified on episode 2, and even though it was a dance challenge, and I can dance, take away my elimination lip sync, I do know how to dance, and I was like, even though it's a dance challenge, my red carpet look is what I actually ended up wearing for the finale, because I was like, well, I'm not going to make it to the finale anyway, which was probably my downfall, me saying that in episode 2, that I'm not going to make it to the finale.
Yeah.
Maybe if I told myself I would have, then maybe I would have made it there. But I was like, I'm gonna have to wear this dress and look gorgeous. And then I actually did really good in that challenge, and then I was safe. And at the time, I was really happy to be safe, because as soon as Rue goes, "You're safe," you go, "I'm gonna be here next week." And that's all I cared about, because I was in the bottom 3 the week before. But when I look back now, I'm like, hang on a sec. I danced beautifully in that challenge, and I wore a gorgeous outfit with this Anna Nicole Smith hair. But I'm glad I wore it, because it meant I got to wear it quite early on in the show and look really nice.
Yeah, and it also gave a total difference from, the first comical jest that you have into that. I also loved, one of my favorite looks for you was the map one. I loved it because I thought it was such a creative way of incorporating, the camping aspect of the runway, but just putting an actual map on yourself. It was so chic. I thought it was so sophisticated. That probably was one of my favorites of yours. And then what was the other really beautiful red dress you had?
Gold one for the money.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Favorite. Do you want to know some real tea about that dress?
Yeah.
Right. This is fully an exclusive, and I've been waiting for the right time to talk about this because it's my favorite. So obviously the runway is like Expenny Henny, like the most expensive looking drag. I think I wore the cheapest dress on the runway that day. That dress is from AliExpress, and I purchased it for I think £180.
Oh
Scandal.
My gosh!
And I haven't said it to the world yet.
Well,
AliExpress, and the headpiece as well, AliExpress.
Okay, wait, hold on. I need to pull this up for a second.
You can probably find it.
How in the world did that, if it was from AliExpress, look that good? Like,
yeah. But I'll say what I did have to spend like weeks. I altered the entire dress. I took all the sleeves off. I took the insides out. I did do a lot to it for it to fit me so good. It did not fit me like that. But yeah, that outfit was from AliExpress, and it's my favorite thing to date because I remember when that episode came out as well. Everyone just went crazy. When I dropped the picture on Instagram, everyone went wild. I was like, I made that money back for that dress in signed prints in 5 minutes. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. And it's one of my favorite dresses. So, and I was on a budget, so
hey, you know what? If you can make something that is cheap look expensive, then there you go. You've made it. That's because nobody ever wants to spend the most money on things. No. Another great thing that you had happen was you were in the amazing Pick and Mix.
The river is here, everybody dive in. Loving myself from deep within. Femme every day, 24/7. I'm missing my mama, but I know she up in heaven. Keep fighting every day. Don't worry about a thing or what people say. That's why I really want you to know. Big drag energy for one and for all.
Of BDE with Ella Vidae, Vanity Milan, Theresa May. What was going through your head? You are in this group with 3 other very exuberant individuals, and this is the one challenge that will either set you into the atmosphere of Drag Race fans blasting this song, or you may be the other group and your song is never heard from again. Were you nervous going into it? No. You're like, nope. You're like, I did theater. I'm good.
That one challenge, I was like, I have to make it to the girl group challenge, and I will win the girl group. That was the one thing I was so confident about. Everything else I was always a bit worried about. That one thing I was like, I know my shit when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I was like, I will be in the winning team for the girl group challenge when I get to the girl group challenge. And I remember as soon as Scarlett had picked the groups, I was like, I'm so glad I'm in this group. Because this thing, when people go in groups, the people that are picking them, it's like, oh, I'm going to pick the best people. And it's like, babes, that's not always going to make you look good. Like, being next to people that are, for this particular challenge, it's like, you need to pick people that you're going to work well with, not just because, oh, Crystal's the favourite, because she's going to look amazing and do well in the challenge. Like, and if you're not super confident with stuff like that, which Scarlett isn't, it's like you wouldn't want to be standing next to that. But anyway, as soon as we knew what version of the song we were having, which is literally on the show, and Scarlett, I was like, I know for a fact Scarlett's going to pick the fast one because she thinks that's going to be like the next Bing Bang Bong or something. Like, you think, oh, it's Drag Race, why would you want a slow one for Drag Race? And as soon as we got the slow one, in my head I was like, we've won this. I was like, I know for a fact we've won this. I was like, I know how this is going to play out. I was like, at that point in the show, none of us had really got much praise or attention, like us four. I was like, we're all very smart. We all know how to maybe go a different way around this. Instead of just having a fast song with silly dancing, we had a slow song with silly dancing instead. And yeah, I was like, I'm going to write decent lyrics that aren't, yes, mama, come on, Root, give me the crown, slay, fierce queen, which is absolutely fine if some people want to do that. But I just didn't want another Drag Race verse. And that was for myself, not because, oh, I'm too good for that. I think music is the most powerful thing in the world. So why would I not be authentic to myself when I write my lyrics? And I remember I actually ended up having those lyrics first and then rewriting them and making them really generic, because I thought, oh no, actually, maybe they're going to say it's too deep and it's Drag Race and I should have done something easier. And I changed it and I handed them in. And then we were about to go and rehearse, and I was like, stop! I was like, no. Like, we were about to go record. I was like, I have to change my lyrics back. I was like, no, I made a terrible mistake. I was like, please, please, please. It was just like 4 lines from it that I changed. Because I had like, the river is here, everybody dive in, love myself and deep within. Then I had all this other stuff, and then it finished with like BDE. So I didn't have the femme every day, I mean 24/7, miss my mum, but I know she haven't. I'd cut that bit out, and then I was like, I have to put that back. I was like, I need to go. You have to stick with your gut all the time. I was like, no, this is what I have to do. And luckily they said, yeah, that's fine, you can change them. And I'm so glad I did, because I love my verse. And when we were doing the choreography and the dancing, we all had such good equal input to it, and we thought we need to be so smart about this. It was like, we don't want to look like a joke. We need to be in on the joke. It's like we can't take this seriously. Like, you can have a serious message but still deliver it in a way that is fun to consume. And I think we nailed it, to be honest. And then, yeah, I knew we were going to win. I felt it.
Nailed it. You took it out of the park. I literally all last night, because anytime before I have an interview, I always just do a full recap, and I could not for the past 24 hours stop singing it. I was just like, and I blasted it in the car when you guys put it out. Like, that's the thing that I get the most excited about, is that if the girl group challenge song is good, because sometimes you have franchises where it may not turn out as good, but that was a moment. And another moment. Oh no. You were in the bottom 2 with your fellow pick and mix sister, Theresa May. And You Make Me Want to Shout comes on. And there was chaos on stage.
Yeah.
what was going through your head, and what was this motion? Did you see the Theresa May craziness going on and that worried you? Like, what was going through? I want you to walk me through this moment.
Okay, so this is the problem. Maybe I preempt things and I'm too negative. I always knew that I would struggle with Snatch Game from the first season of Drag Race I ever watched. I think I can make people laugh, but I don't know how to do Snatch Game. I know what makes a good Snatch Game. I cannot do it for the life of me. I really cannot, and I always knew that. And I ended up doing a character that I thought maybe would just be more safe and I'd just be fine. And I was like, I'd rather just do a character that like will be all right to do. I don't think I did a bad job, but I hated Snatch Game from the second I sat down. Like, the whole time I wanted to cry, honestly. It was the worst. And it's just so sad to think I was like, I think it was the fact that I was like, I know that there's actually nothing I can do and I'm going to go home tomorrow. That in my head, like that's genuinely me just being realistic. And then when I found out what the runway was, it was my absolute worst runway. I made it like in the hotel. Like it was an absolute mess. And I was like, it's not even as if I had a gorgeous runway that might have saved me from being in the bottom or something, right? So like that morning, I remember. So the day after Snatch Game, so the morning of the runway, the sound person came up to me and they ask you where you want your mic, because you can wear it in your costume, or you can have it in your wig, or you can have it anywhere. It depends. If you're wearing something really revealing, like you can't have it there. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, I was like, right. I was like, I'm wearing a mesh top half, so I'm gonna have to have the whole thing inside my wig. And they put the mic pack, everything underneath. And then I went, but I will be lip syncing later on, so we're going to have to take that mic. She was like, you might not be lip syncing. And I was like, no, I'm just letting you know I'm going to be lip syncing this. I was like, there's nothing I could have done different anyway by that point, because I'd already done a Snatch Game. Maybe I could have pointed on the runway. Yeah, maybe if I put it on the runway, they would have laughed. So yeah, I was like, I know they're not going to like it. And then they didn't. And then I knew I was going home. Just because, and this wasn't, I heard a producer say this. It was none of that. It was all in my mind, but for once I was right. And I remember the song was going to start and I was like, maybe if I'm just going to be fun with this song, because, and this wasn't me saying, I'm going home. I was like, I'm still going to do my best in this lip sync, but it's a horrible song to lip sync to, for me anyway. Like, the type of dancing I know how to do is not that. And like by that point, I was just so like tired and drained and just like, ugh. And I honestly think I blacked out that whole lip sync. I remember the song starting, and I was like, I need to take this bowl off, and then I look and Teresa is like this. But I was like, whatever happens, Teresa's gonna stay because I think they like her more. And we do the lip sync, and Lulu was loving it, and I was like, well, at least she's having fun. Like, I genuinely had fun with it. And I was like, yeah, that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to be there, like, do you know, like, it doesn't fit the song. So, yeah, and then I remember me and Teresa were standing there at the end of the song, and I was like, you've won. I was like, don't worry, like, you've won. We had to go put our mics back on really quickly, literally like at the back of the stage or something. And I was looking at her and I was like, "You've won." I was like, "Don't worry, you're going to be fine." I was like, "Won." And I knew, which I think was why I was okay with it, because I like knew. Mm. And again, it's one of those things. It's like can't do anything about it. So yeah, that's what happened. And then I got eliminated.
Eliminated.
I did actually cry on the runway to RuPaul. Actually, I was a bit upset. I was like, I'm so sorry that like I disappointed you and I haven't done as well as I know I can. And I was like sobbing. But I guess it was too long.
So you pulled a Pangina before Pangina pulled a Pangina.
Yeah, actually, and they didn't keep it in. Maybe that's why they didn't keep it in, because maybe they were like, we've already got that, and that's going to be more dramatic. Because it wasn't that dramatic. It was more. It wasn't me. No, it was me. I was like, I'm really sorry. I was like, I've had a lovely time here. I was like, thank you. I was like, it's amazing. I'm really sorry I didn't do better. But yeah, and that was it. And I was happy with what I did. And then, yeah.
And then you are done with the show. You go on to live your life. As we close out this Drag Race chapter and learn what's next for you, you get my final question from the Drag Race archives of, what is something that happened during shooting Drag Race that you wish would have made it on TV that didn't?
Well, there's a depends. Oh, it depends. It depends what my okay.
There's obviously something there, River. I need you. Come on.
Oh, I don't want to be shady. There's a couple things, but for different reasons. And one of the things I think would explain a lot of things and make things make sense that happened on the show that some people might not have been happy with, but it would make things make sense.
Let's connect the dots. Connect the dots.
No. I'll tell you a really funny thing that happened instead.
You can't set me up like that, River.
Oh no! Oh no! It just.
Why don't you say it, and then if you regret it, we can take it out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know. No, 'cause do you know what? Actually, I don't wish it happened. It's more of just something that's a bit like interesting that maybe would have changed things.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, in episode 5, and like nobody wins the episode, and then we get asked like who's going, and we all say the same person. Scarlet. We all say Scarlet. We all said Scarlet, and at that point, like tensions are high already. And I know for me, like, I had reasoning for me to say her name. And I just remember her, which, do you know what? When I look back, I think the way she reacted was very human and completely justified. And we get on well and everybody is fine. But I remember at the time she was saying stuff like, you're all ganging up on me and you've thrown me under the bus. And I just thought, that's not throwing you under the bus. Like, I've said it because that's what I believe. And then I remember at one point, just before she storms out, I go, you really need to stop. You need to let people finish speaking before you interrupt them or something. And that's on the show. And it just looks like I'm saying it out of nowhere. But like earlier on that day, we were having a conversation, getting ready in the mirrors about. It started off about cruising and dogging because I think there was a dog challenge that day, and we started talking about dogging and cruising, and everyone was making jokes about it. And then I started sort of talking about the history of like cruising and how like for a lot of especially gay men that before Grindr and like web apps like that was the only way that you could have like any sort of sexual relation with anyone was through cruising. And then that's how we started talking about it. And I was like, like it's not always this taboo thing. Like that was survival for a lot of people. That was the only way they could do it. And I had this conversation, and then I remember Scarlett interrupting me to tell a joke, and it just made me so angry. And I didn't say anything at the time. And then later on, she interrupted somebody again, and then I was just like, "You really need to stop interrupting people." And that's what it went. And that's why it had like built up, but all you ever really saw was that bit on telly. So it looks like we're all just randomly coming out of nowhere saying all these things. So that's maybe sort of one thing that it just makes sometimes you see the tail end of things, and sometimes it's like no, like sometimes things are justified. Like we're not all shady and snappy for no reason sometimes. And the same way, like it happens. I'm sure it happened loads on the show, but that was one thing at the time when it happened. I was like, I hope people don't think I'm kicking somebody when they're down. Because I got that a little bit, not a lot, but yeah, that's one thing. But then also another really funny thing that I'll tell you really quickly was when we were eating breakfast one day, we were all sitting there talking, and Teresa was like this like across the room, like just doing this for like 5 minutes. And I thought, oh, he's just nerd. Oh my god, can you see my pajamas? I've got Rick and Morty pajamas on underneath.
My favorite.
Yes, Rick and Morty.
And she was just walking around, and I thought maybe she's just, having a moment or something. And she came over and she goes, sorry, everybody, just to let you know, I've been silently choking for 5 minutes. And she was choking on her breakfast and didn't want to tell anyone. And that was my favourite. I pissed myself laughing. It was so funny. So I wish that was also on camera on the face. It was just, she was just, now I can just imagine her like this, like.
Poor Teresa.
Yeah, but she doesn't like people making a fuss, and I've seen it happen again before, and I can see her coughing, and people are like, and she gets, and I was like, no, everyone leave her. I was like, leave her to it. She'll sort herself out. I was like, if she goes blue, we'll give her the Heimlich, but if not, she'll sort herself. But it's because she doesn't chew her food. She just like, she goes, all the time. I'm like, Teresa, you have to chew your food. And she goes, I forget to chew. So yeah, that was so funny too.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I love you. What is coming down the pipeline for you now that Drag Race is over? You have this pick and mix tour that you are doing. Like, what's coming up, River?
Well, I've got a lot of live shows and a lot of tours coming up this year, which is really fun, which you can see all on my Instagram. Do you know what I really, really want to get into? Which maybe is actually will fall into what we were talking about earlier on about me going on my old Stardoll account. I really like making videos and video editing and stuff. So I think I want to do a lot more digital stuff as well, because I'm touring so much this year, and it's just in the UK, and it's like I forget how wide my drag has spread, and it's like I really want to create some really good stuff that might be in the works already, but I'm just going to say that I love cooking a good meal, which is people don't know about me either. I love to cook, and I love styling wigs, which I know people always want to see too. So hopefully that's a good thing. That's a good international thing that will be for the millions to enjoy, and maybe some music this year too.
Yes, that would be exciting. Also, are you coming to DragCon?
I will be at DragCon UK in January 2023, so that's very exciting too.
Very exciting, and I know that you are a big fan of Hannah Montana. So
oh my God, we haven't even spoken about Hannah Montana. We're gonna have to do a part 2.
You know what? We should just do a podcast on Hannah Montana. We should pick an episode and just go through it. That's gonna be our next step. Yeah. All I have to say is that if you get to a DragCon and Arantxa Castilla-La Mancha is there from España, can you please both be Hannah Montana? I need a performance and a number. That would be killer.
It will have to happen. I feel like, when there's like in cowboy films and it's like and they're there, like, this town ain't big enough for the both of us. That would be me and her, like in Hannah Montana drag. Like,
yes!
Yeah.
It could be a poster, a whole thing.
Yeah, she's lovely. She's amazing.
I love her. She's insane. Well, River, where can everybody find you on the socials?
Socials, Instagram is at River Medway. Twitter is at River_Medway, because at River Medway has already been taken by somebody that made an account for the actual River Medway. So, and it gets tagged in things all the time. So it's Instagram has an underscore. No, Twitter has an underscore. Instagram does not.
Well, thank you so much, River, for being here and chatting with me on Exposed, Dragged Out on the Dip. My name is Joseph Shepard. You can follow me on all things at Joseph A. Shepard. River Medway is at River Medway on Instagram, at River_Medway on Twitter. Do not follow the actual River Medway account. Make sure you're not tagging her either. And until next time, I will see you guys. Make sure to leave a 5-star rating, give all the goods, show River some love, go follow her. Bye, guys.